Welcome, everyone. We are going to keep it in, keep it kosher, keep it cool, keep it calm. My name is Brian Bacchus, and everyone else introduce yourselves.
I'm Jamal Smith. Welcome to episode 63.
Good morning, and it's Tony.
Good morning, James Farr. Thanks for having me.
Well, as everyone knows, James has been on the forefront of this journalism thing since I met him in 2018. He used to always cover all of the unpleasantries of Pasadena, Altadena, the shootings, the killings. This man goes out and finds the reason what happened behind the scenes. Why did this happen? What's being done about the police department? What's going on? So James has an event coming up. Was it Wednesday, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna let you go ahead and elaborate more on that, and then everybody else can chime in afterwards. Any questions?
Absolutely. First of all, Brian, thank you, Tony and Jamal, for holding this space. Episode 63, brother. That is a heavy lift, and I know not an easy thing to do. Especially when you guys are doing this, because it's service, it's for the community, it's to keep people informed. And so folks need to, as I do, tune into Altadena Talks, because you guys really have a very grounded voice, perspective, hearing what Tony was sharing earlier about the debris removal. It's touching and people are listening. But all that said, I host Conversation Live Altadena Rising on KBLA Talk 1580. It's a weekly live radio show where we have self-appointed our radio station to chronicle and document this for the nation. We are the show of record. We understand that people have short-term memories, and as long as this Black Talk radio station is on the air, we're going to continue to tell the stories and uplift this community that I've called home for nearly a quarter century. That being said, Brian, we are hosting a town hall on Wednesday the 16th at the Robinson Park Recreation Center. The 16th is the 100th day since January 7th, and we're looking at 100 days and counting. We want to understand what we've learned. We have a panel of survivors, community leaders, and subject experts that are all convening as a part of our continued coverage. And so we're inviting the community, if they're able to come out at 4 p.m. It's a live broadcast. Not that we're looking to bribe or give folks something for them to come, but we are grateful for the resources through the Pasadena Community Foundation and Neighborhood Servants, who have provided air purifiers as well as gift cards to Pavilions, Vons, and Safeway to the first 100 people. But all are welcome. They just need to register an RSVP at kbla1580.com.
So, who do you have that's going to be on the show, or is going to be at the town hall?
Part of the panelists include Martin Gordon, who's with the Pasadena Community Coalition. Martin lives on McNeely, a little bit further up Lake. Joel Bryant, who's I'll just say the names and assume everybody know everybody. Joel Bryant, Dr. Ishel Williams, Ash Level, who has been with a collective Altadena Rising, Brandon Lamar, Veronica Jones with the Altadena Historical Society, and I for some reason I think I'm forgetting someone, so please forgive me, but moderating will be KBLA's own Dominique DePrima and Dr. Nicordelai Corte, and Tavis Smiley will also be in attendance, and we'll have some remarks. So that's the program. It's a 2-hour broadcast live from 4 to 6.
Oh, okay. I think you sent me the flyer, so I was going to go ahead and look that up. But I'm glad to see that there's somebody other than us that's out there trying to do some things for Altadena because, as you know, we are the longest running podcast in the world.
Yeah. I'm on episode 6 tomorrow, brother. So you got a 10x on me already.
we we just come on and just the thing is we dedicate ourselves to doing it every day because people don't need once a week. I mean, not saying that your show is not what it's supposed to do, but I felt, and I know the other two on here with me, that we needed to talk every day. We needed to get
Yeah.
this out every day. And it turned into something that we didn't expect, which was now we're giving you information about things around town. We were adamantly advocating get over to FEMA, get your ROE, do all your stuff because there are still people that have not turned in their ROE.
And they claim they didn't
hmm
know too, if you can believe that.
That
They
too.
didn't know about the
So,
deadlines and all that kind of stuff. That's crazy.
and
Well,
I don't.
there's a lot of mis and disinformation, and it's really where people get their information from, right? And so what you guys are doing is so important, right? Because it does take those daily conversations, and you guys are able to kind of cut through a lot of that mis and disinformation. And because you're right there. I mean, I listen. I'm informed by what you're doing, and so it is beneficial. Kind of right here in community, but also as I take it out, we approach our show like no one knows the difference between Altadena and Palisades. They just hear LA wildfires, right? And
Right.
you know, just kind of it all gets conflated into one thing. Even the idea that there have been 3 permits issued, right? People are just saying, oh, they're rebuilding now, right? No, there's 1 in Altadena and 2 in Palisades. That clearly isn't at a pace or scale of where folks want to be. And so you guys are doing, I believe, the most important work in terms of documenting and telling these stories because you're trusted voices, you're in the community, and you all are impacted in a way that I'm not, but I'm also impacted because you're impacted, right? And we are in the same community and share a love for this place. I don't have lifelong. I got half of my life here. I'll measure that against somebody with lifelong. Like I'm as vested as vested could be. I got a fruit
Absolutely.
tree in my backyard. This where I'm going. My pawpaw say this where you supposed to be. You got fruit. You good.
That's what's up. I like that.
That's- and we grew up on those fruit trees. Trust
I
me.
know. So
Like
thank
I
you.
was always up in those bad boys. Yeah. So let's see. We got some people coming on. We got the Verdugo Wash joined. Thank you very much, as well as out Pressure. Jerry Pressure. He does all the pictures of the chimneys. If you walk around out to Dean, if you go to his page, he does all the things with the chimneys. And of course, our resident commenter, Corey Bisher, is in the house. We haven't seen you, Corey. You've been like on the lam. What's going on? We ain't seen you in a minute. So we're just saying what's up to all y'all. And go ahead, James. Your information is up here now. I think we the people that we missed was Andre Coleman, who
Yes.
runs
Yeah.
Pasadena now,
Yes. I
and
missed Andre Coleman.
Jeffrey Boozell.
Yeah, Jeffrey
He's
Bruzel is a partner at Quinn Emanuel. They are sponsors of the station, and they're there just to provide legal advice and consultation and kind of context. I'm not a lawyer. None of us on the panel are lawyers, so there are those questions about the ignition point of the fire. And one of the things that it makes sense, but then it's also troubling, right? There are some people who really believe that this fire was set intentionally. And I'll go down that rabbit hole to the extent that maybe the gross negligence that we may find out about through court could make me believe it was intentional. But I mean, this was the worst scenario of what could have happened. And then you couple that with, negligence from executives and even government officials that have failed. I mean, the fact that our supervisor Barger, is surprised as of Monday that no permits have been issued. It's like, well, damn, who else should know that other than you, right? If you're championing a rebuild and whatnot. And so, unfortunately, our government officials I'll say it this way, they're being intellectually dishonest about this process.
Well, there's an article that just came out this morning that I read that the CPUC, which is the California Public Utilities Commission, has been holding back the reason why SCE went over and regrounded those. Now, that one that they say blew up, it's supposed to have been decommissioned since 1971.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
You absolutely.
So
it hasn't been 50 years.
Right. And all of a sudden, that one, then they had SCE go out there and reground it. And then everybody noticed that this happened because, we get it's advocates, Altadena advocates walk around filming all the time. So when you see somebody like that in the backyard, you're going to film them. And what they filmed was them going out there and restoring that lattice to that tower. Mm-hmm. But then they shot the information to CPUC, and they were supposed to release it. Well, everyone says that the CPUC is in the bed with the utility company, so they don't let you see it. But now it's been demanded, and it was supposed to have been out after 28 days. It's now been 90 days. So they've covered,
Southern California Edison has, similar to how PG&E did up in Paradise. They, of course, are trying to cover their tracks, cover up their mistakes. But fortunately, I've seen footage that was shared with me that investigators who are also following what they're doing and literally capturing them doing what they're doing. Right. So all of that, as Big Mama would say, if it don't come out in the wash, it'll come out in the rinse, right? Like it's there. They're caught. But that does little for, like you, Sister Tony, having to experience what you're experiencing today, right? But there is, if anything, a bright side ahead of us, individually, collectively. It's just going to be a process to get there, but they're caught.
Yeah, definitely they are.
It's crazy.
And, I think that's little solace for our Altadenians that are 70s, 80s, 90s, who have been there 50, 60, 70, whatever years, and everything they worked for.
Yeah.
Every hurdle they had to jump through to purchase a home in Altadena was destroyed instantly. And then immediately the gaslighting and the PR people come out and, it wasn't this, it wasn't that. And it clearly was. And like we said, people have video footage and saw it when it sparked, and then to hear things like, they've had it, or, that was supposed to be decommissioned, or, they said early that day, because they knew the winds for an entire week would be 80, 90, 100 mile an hour gusts. But we didn't turn it off, and people still had electricity and power at 9:30, 10 at night.
Yep.
And the next day their house was gone, or within a few hours, because the power in my parents' house was still on, because my daughter, nephew, and brother were there at 9:30 before it went out. But by 3 a.m, their house was gone. Yeah. So you can't sit here and try to gaslight and say, no, it's this, it's that. No, that's a lie. And stop lying.
They tried to say it was a homeless encampment at first. Remember that story?
Well, let me tell you why I can understand they would do that. So in 2020, when the Bobcat fire happened, I lived right there in the canyon in Azusa, where you go to the very top before you go up to Norfolk to the shooting range and all that stuff. I lived at the top of San Gabriel, and that's exactly what it was. And I talked to, so there was a whole encampment down there. And when I say whole encampment, they had a mayor and everything. And no, for real. There's real politics. There's real politics in homeless. And the ones that
United States of Jones
in the Azusa Canyon, the mayor, I forgot her name, but she was the mayor. And that fire, the Bobcat fire, was started because two dudes got into it, and one cussed one out and said, "Don't trip, I'm finna burn you down." And he literally went to set the other guy's encampment on fire, and that's what started the Bobcat fire. So I understand that they would try now, because homelessness is probably a little bit more, right? To say, oh, it was an encampment. But that was not what started the Eaton fire. But the Bobcat fire, because it was right behind my house, and when it started, we all went outside, and at the top of our complex was this nice grassy area, and that's where the command center and staging for all the firefighters and police were. And so, I mean, it took me 30 seconds to walk from my townhouse to where the grass was. And, you know, we were all watching, the news was there. But the fact is, all the homeless people that were coming up out of the canyon as that fire continued to rage were basically passed out. We as residents were going getting oranges. I had an orange tree, got them oranges. We got them water. And they were waiting on like ambulances to come check them and make sure they were okay and give them breathing treatments and stuff. But that one, I literally talked to a bunch of the folks, and the guy who started it ran off, but then wound up getting caught by the police, right? And they arrested him for arson. But the mayor, she was like, nope, this is what happened. And and they were calling her mayor, literally. And I was like, wait a minute, y'all have politics in homeless encampments? They were like, absolutely. And they, for the most part, respect one another and follow that. But then there, you know, we hear about the stabbings, we hear about different stuff. But when I tell y'all, and this was 2020, not even 5 years ago, because it was in the fall, like in that summer. So 4.5 years ago, and my mind was blown back. Like, they really are calling her mayor, and she's running that homeless encampment down in that area, the Azusa Canyon. And so I could see they would say, oh, we just settled Bobcat. Let's say the same thing for Eaton. But that is not what it was. And at least for a week. And this is part of the problem I have with people trying to say, oh, Karen Bass was on a flight coming back from Ghana during the fires. Excuse me. This didn't happen overnight, regardless of her trip to Ghana and back. Everyone knew for 7 to 10 days that we were going to have this wind event, because they were talking to it, 7 to 10, talking about it on the news, on the weather channels and everything for 7 to 10 days prior. So for Edison to try to say it was a homeless encampment, when in fact you knew, and you sent people notifications that morning in their emails and on their phones saying, we're going to be turning off the power because we know a wind event is happening that morning, and still at 9-10 o'clock at night, people have power. So yeah,
right.
There's a legal determination with why they would want to attribute the cause of it to a criminal act, right?
Right.
That would completely absolve them from any liability.
Of course it would.
And it just becomes a criminal act, and folks will have to seek restitution from folks who are judgment proof, meaning there's nothing to sue and get damages
SCE
for.
would get off scot-free.
Scot-free.
Right.
Scott,
And
I
we
mean,
know that SCE,
I don't know Scott, but I know free.
well,
Right.
Edison is the main culprit, but you still, and I believe the next steps or next phases, and we've talked about this, I don't know when you were on or not, James, but the gas lines were open for 3 days.
Oh, yeah.
And houses blew up. And so SoCal Gas, you're culpable, and LA County Fire, or LA County, because, and I got video of that from my cousin going out. When I text him and his sister at 4 a.m, my parents' house was gone, and their dad lives 2 blocks down, and I text him, he went up the next day. He's a brand new retired LAPD. And so he had his badge, so they let him in, right? And he had video that he sent me where the firefighters coupled the hose, went to this hydrant, turned it on, hose was flat.
Dust.
And they said, dead. This one's dead. Uncoupled it, went to the hydrant across the street, did it again. That one's dead. And he was like, you guys can't do anything? And they're like, the hydrants are dead, meaning they had no water, right? So there's definitely folks that are going to get sued. But Edison is the main culprit, right? And that's where it goes first. And then the other stuff will be secondary. But it's just like the audacity for them to even say that, James, like, oh no. And then come back and say, oh, winds were only like 30 miles an hour or 35 miles an hour. Where?
No, they weren't.
Where?
They have
Suckers were
records of this.
100 miles an hour, man. That was
100
ridiculous.
mile an hour winds. And you talking about the president of Edison the first day talking about, oh, well, down in Pasadena, that's a lie. And you were not there. Because that's a bold-faced lie. Gaslighting at its finest.
Yeah.
So James,
yes, sir.
No, go ahead. Finish your statement.
No, I was just saying that is we see that in every aspect of legal defense, where you're trying to push it out, push the blame, but they know what it is, and I think it's not any conflict right now, right? But eventually. Edison will be held responsible. Absolutely. And everyone that lost will be made whole in some way. It just may not look like what it looked like prior to January 6th, And so for those elders that you were speaking of, their estates will be compensated. There needs to be more conversation around making sure that people's property and their paperwork and all of that kind of stuff is clean and in proper order, so that when you can avoid that money in 10, 12, whenever that is, right? Going through a probate or a court having to deal with it. And I also think generational wealth may look differently going forward for a lot of us. A lot of us are asset rich and cash poor, right? And so it's going to look differently for a lot of people. One of the things I've pushed for on my show and in any space that I'm able to speak is to allow folks the grace and the space to decide what is a very individual, personal decision. Yeah. It's not my place to tell you, any one of you, don't sell your property. I don't know what your situation is, right? I mean, sure, we want to see the community stay the same, right? Of course we do. That's why I'm here. I love it. But that's an individual situation for you and your family that you and your God got to make on your own. And we're just here to support you, and love you in whatever decision you make, man.
And provide you with assets to choose from.
To choose from. So you were going to ask me something, Brother Jamal?
Yeah, I just first of all, I want to thank you for the town hall. I think it's going to be, or sharing that information, I think it's going to be amazing for people to have a place to share and get off their chest what's going on and whatever position they're in now in the stage of regrowth, rebuilding. I'm just curious, what are you guys going to do with the information you gather? I mean, is there going to be a next step? Or
we're a news agency in every sense of it, right? So we're chronicling, we're documenting. We are going to have all of our episodes archived at the Altadena Historical Society. So that record will stay there long past any of us.
For those who don't know where it is, where's that? The Altadena Historical Society.
So they currently have space. They don't have a building dedicated to themselves. They're not like they're a museum, but they hold space in Altadena Community Center, same place where the town council meets. They have pushed in the last few years to digitize a lot of their archives and assets. Sister Veronica Jones has really taken a leadership role in making sure that Black Altadena is included in what they are preserving and documenting before this fire. But to answer your question, we are a news agency. We are a talk show radio company. And so we want to make what information we gather available in the public so that researchers and others can Here are stories, just like you guys are telling stories and updating information. We're not an advocacy group. We're not a policy group. We're not a collective of organizers or residents who are kind of in silos saying, well, this is what we think is the best thing. This is why I curated this panel through a collective of people
Sure.
and not just people that I personally know. I'm going to have Brian on my show in June, because by where I'm at in a story arc right now is I'm just now getting to someone, the Nickerson family, one of the families that perished in the fire. So I'm balancing between the history, kind of where we are right now. When we get into June, I mean, we'll get into some small business conversation in the coming weeks, latter part of April into May. And then, we start talking about the car clubs, the culture, the backyard,
The fun
what
stuff.
makes the fun stuff, right? The arts, the architecture. We're going to get to all of that. It's not just all doom and gloom, although that is what centers why we're even in the conversation.
The
But
spot we kick it at across the street from Jackie Robinson Park after the events.
yeah, we gonna talk about Morton. You can't talk. So
Tony,
we'll get.
remember after we went to the Black History Festival, everybody was kicking it across the street.
That's it. My visa wasn't approved for me to go there. They say, hey, you ain't got enough time, man.
All you have to do is stand next to one of us, and they see you cool with us, you cool.
Man, that's funny.
I know some people only put 1 foot out the car when they're sitting over there and never get out.
Never get out. Nah, I had a few guest passes. So I hope that answers your question, bro, Jamal.
It
It
did.
is we are, from a national standpoint, want to make sure that we keep as much of this in the forefront. These other agencies are going to parachute in, as you've seen,
Of course.
and they're gone, right?
That's what they did already. They gone already.
They
It's been
gone.
90 days.
Yeah.
So
No, I'll
kind of
tell you when they're going to come back. They're going to come back when that first house is built. I bet you the whole crew of people,
Oh,
even
yeah.
from
No,
Australia, is going to come
yeah,
over here.
they'll be back there. And then in a year, from now, well, from January, you'll start seeing the 1 year look backs, and the specials. But it's, we're a small Black radio station, man. We found the time, to give an hour to it weekly, right? And I had to clear up on my show. This wasn't a come up for me. This wasn't no opportunity.
right.
This wasn't an offer. I mean, but it in some respects it is all of that, because I still have to do the work, right? But it was an invitation, because of my proximity to the community and knowing folks, and everybody in Altadena, Pasadena knows somebody that knows somebody. But Tavis Smiley made it very clear to me. He said, James, I'm not doing this for you or your career. I'm doing this for the Black folks in Altadena. Now, you're doing it. You got to do the work. But the only reason we're doing this is for Black folks.
So now, kind of with that said, and you being a news agency, I'm curious. Magic said he was going to be there for Altadena at the get-go. Have you talked about that or followed up, or do you have any info on that? Has he actually done anything?
Well, depends on what you mean, anything, right? Because he might say he did something at the Boys and Girls Club yesterday or 2 days ago, coming to be with the kids and hand out gift cards. I know Martin Gordon on my second show called him out. Where are you, right? I haven't necessarily followed up in the context of what you're saying, because I also don't want to gaslight y'all, right? Like, I mean, the reality is, if he gonna do it, do it. Like, he don't need me to.
Well, let me jump in there, because again, I think what happens is people have seen all of these, this big concert, right? That one that Ellen and their family, right, were on, all the sisters, Crystal, Ellen, Michelle, their mama.
Yeah.
Right? And that raised $600 million. We've seen the Grammys, and they had QR codes and they've raised money. I haven't heard how much was raised from that, right? But we've seen tons and tons and tons of organizations say, we're raising funds, we're raising funds. I think what people have to remember is these organizations are being methodical in how they hold on to it and how they disperse it. One of the things that people don't know is if you just give money to people, there are two issues with that, meaning direct money. Number one, you're going to get a W-9 and you will be taxed on that money if it comes directly to you. That's number one. So if you're trying to rebuild, do you want to now be taxed on money that you're gifted? If they put it into an account for you, like an escrow type account, and the money gets sent directly to the vendor, the builder, or whoever, you're not taxed, right? So that's part of what we're doing with Hold Dina and the land banking and all of that. So people are quick to say, well, where are they? They're not doing anything. But the funders, including Magic and whoever else, have raised this money. They know the rules and they're going to play by the rules. So number one, the people aren't harmed by being taxed. That's number one, and that's smart and that's wisdom. Number two, they have to maximize their giving effort and their tax, what their write-offs will be, right? Sure. So yes, we want to see houses built. Yes, we want to see people with the money, but I don't want to see people with the money if it's going to damage them. And then we also know there are people that are not good money managers. And you give them some money, and next thing you know, they got a new car, a Gucci bag, whatever. Yeah. And that's not saying a woman or a man, right? That's because men got bags that they carry, whatever. But the people that are not good money managers, I know for us at Victory and Hold Dina, part of it is we are doing money management classes that as this money is being raised, they can go through this so that when they have something that might be given to them, a lot got money from Baygood, right? Some might have got 10,000, some got other amounts. What are you doing with that money? Because we'd much rather see you put it in a CD for 9 months because your house probably won't be built by then, right? And earn some interest on it. Exactly. Earn some interest on it that will go towards the extra hardscaping or the sprinklers or the panels on the roof, if that's what you need to have. So if you had a GoFundMe that raised 50, 100, 250, whatever it is, and that money is now gone, you're probably not a good money manager. And I'm not talking about, oh, we had a car burned down, so we need a new car. Oh, we lost everything, so we have to get our clothes because we got to go to work and we have to shop, right? Those things are needed. They're necessities. Use it for that. But if you got 250 and your insurance also is paying for you to live somewhere and you have spent 200 of that 250, that's a problem, right? So the thing is, we can talk about where's the money. I'd rather the money be funneled to the people in the proper order and the way so that they're not damaged from taxes, right? Or anything else. Then we got 600 million, boom, everybody that was affected, here you go. And so it's early.
You raise a great point, Sister Tony. When in the immediacy afterwards, right? As folks were checking in through my network and, friends, family, how can we help? Who do we support? Where do we send money? All of those questions, right? My first response was, because as you all well know, some people didn't have a bank card, an ID, couldn't go get a soda pop, a phone charger, anything, right?
Right.
They were in that space, and so you wanted to put cash in people's hands as soon as possible. But my first thought was, well, just send it to me and I'll give it to them. And my wife was like, hey, you can't do that, right?
You can't.
That's you're going to create a tax bill for us doing that, right? And I'm like, oh,
absolutely.
Absolutely. So free cost, right? I'm like, what do you mean? It's just I'm giving it right back. And she said, you can't do that.
Nope.
And of course, people don't completely understand that. And right now there's a lot of emotion. There, rightfully so, right? It makes sense, right? I think it's not really a recovery space right now. It's still relief, because people are settling and finding new normals and really having to come to the idea of, do I sign a 1 year or a 2 year lease right now, right? If I sign a 2 year lease, I can protect that rent at a certain dollar amount, versus when the market shifts in another year. Now, I'm subject to whatever that increase is going to be, and that
Yes.
extended living expense is running low, and now you got to tap back into whatever things that they have available. So what's happening over at Victory with Pastor PJ and Angel, I think is truly good stewardship, and giving people the tools and the education
Yeah.
that they need. But then I also caution people, hey, people gonna do what they're gonna do.
Absolutely.
Let them make let them make the decisions that they're gonna make.
That's right.
Because
But
that's
the thing with that is, when it comes to that good stewardship and that wisdom and all of that, yes, we're doing great things at Victory, right? And throughout the community, because that might be the base, but we're open and welcome to
Sure.
anybody. We've helped 2,100 people, to date or whatever in the 90 days, and given over $1 million away and 30 cars and all of this. But we're doing it the proper way so that it's not a burden to us as a nonprofit and as our church, or to anyone in the community. And yes, we are also giving people grace, because they're going to do exactly what they want, James. They're going to they might even say, Victory ain't done nothing for me, when they just walked away with a new car and $10,000. Right? And that's okay, because, folks will do that. And that's okay. But the fact is, if we are going to do it right, let's do it so we don't bring additional damage or harm to people.
Right.
And that is
I love it.
thing. And so your wife saying the same thing to you, hold up, bruh, you're going to cause damage to us, right? From a tax bill, and to people, because technically they should be signing that W-9 for taxes, right? And so we have to make sure that we know what the rules of the game are, so we can play the rules, so we're okay. Because trust me, not us, they know the rules to the game, and they play it so they're not bringing damage to their folks. And so we have to learn the rules if we don't know them.
That was the whole reason why the game was invented.
Right. I'm in some training now twice a week through FEMA, or
learning the inside stuff.
Right. And twice a week. And then I just got some other stuff. And so whether we become one of the long-term recovery groups or not, if they're offering free training, I'm taking it. And so I'm in 4 weeks, twice a week, training from 11 to 1, Tuesdays and Thursdays with National VOAD, and then this other care management that they sent me last night, that the state OES, Cal OES sent me last night. I'm in these meetings every week. I'm talking to the right officials, right? But the fact is, that is so that we can come here and speak on it, and I get the training. And then I can say to the community, this is the proper way that things should be done. Because if not, okay, just like renters. And I know Corey asked this question. Yes, if you're a renter, contact an attorney, do your thing, right? But someone who rented a house, or like Brian was in a house and he was a renter, right? If you were a renter, or I'll use Tatris and her son as a prime example. She didn't have a rental contract, but he paid her rent every month. Well, she filed FEMA. When her son went to file, they said, you can't, same address, right? So when I was talking to FEMA last Tuesday in a meeting, they said, well, there is a caveat, but there's actually two caveats. Number one is, the mother could write the letter saying, yes, he rented from me, from this time to this time, however many years or whatever. And she could even put the amount that she was collecting each month from him. If he was giving her 500, 1,000, whatever. And then he could go to FEMA, do the appeal, and they're going to overturn it and give him his money. And then they said, however, and this is the flip side, if she wasn't claiming that as income on her income taxes, then she could be in trouble with the IRS. And I was like, good grief. And if people don't know this, they will write a letter for their sibling, their child, whoever has been paying them some rent each month, even if it's, hey, you give me 500, I'm gonna put that towards the utilities. But if you want them to get that FEMA, right, either you put A or B, like you had another spot, or yes, I was collecting rent or they were paying me rent. But if the IRS comes back, because now FEMA, who's government just like IRS and data is shared, and they want to say, oh, for the last 5 years, you've been collecting $1,200 a month rent for 12 months times 5 years, and you never claimed that on your income, that extra $15,000 a year. So now we're going to add that to your income, and we're going to penalize you because you forfeit, you didn't tell us, and you got late penalties. So there's so much that people don't know that they could, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this because it'll help, but then they get taxed or they could get in trouble.
Yep.
So we're not the ones getting the training, so we can come back to the community and say, hey y'all, this is what the real deal is. Yes, you can write this letter. Now, what's the likelihood that that will happen? None of us really know, right? And right now with this administration changing things 1 second and 10 seconds later is something else, and the next day is something else, it very well could happen. And so do we want people to put themselves in that position that they potentially could have penalties, extra tax and penalties and all of that over my child who lived with me and was giving me some rent each month, couldn't file their FEMA and get the money because FEMA has a cap, right?
Right.
And so people, same way, giving people grace, once they have that knowledge, they have to weigh that decision for what's best for them. Is it right now the immediate, because my son needs it, or is it long-term, I could be in trouble, so let's roll with this, and you and I stick together and we do what we need to do. So I think that those are the things that we absolutely have to be in this training for, whether we call ourselves a long-term recovery group or not, and we don't have to, but let's get the information and disseminate it to the community that is factual information and have accurate factual data so that they can then make an informed decision instead of an uninformed decision.
That will preach, Sister Tony.
You might as well say we've been doing the job as the recovery because we've been here for 63 days. So
yeah. So that's the important information. That's why. I mean, obviously, I've been in Altadena, since 1968, right? Everybody knows that by now. But this is my community. I am going to make sure we're good. And for me, it's not only about Black Altadena, because, again, I grew up on the east side. We were the only Black folks on that block for a long time, right? And then others probably by the time I was a teenager moved in. So for me, I'm making sure I get it for everybody who's an Altadenian. But then I am going to work to make sure that Black and brown people in Altadena are absolutely not left behind, that they have the exact same information, because historically we are left behind. And so if we only have people that don't look like us going, getting the information and the training, then guess who's going to be missed out because we don't have the correct information. So if that means Tony got to work her regular job, plus be in meetings 2 and 3 and 4 days a week, and do some other stuff and connect with and partner with others that have the resources, the information, the access, then that's what I'm personally going to do for my entire community. And so, we have to be willing to go that extra step and that extra mile and use our brains, get the knowledge and share it instead of always waiting on somebody else to go and find it out. So I'm appreciative for what you're doing, James, with us, because we're every day, but you're weekly or whenever you do it, but then you're national, right? And so you're getting a lot of that information out and you're partnering with different people in the community. I talked to Joel, I think Friday, but we've talked several times about him. He's a builder, and Joel and I kind of last week, not got into it. We didn't get into it, but he's like, Tony, I just don't see that happening. I was like, relax, bruh. So he is a traditional stick builder, right? And I'm like, you got to get away from wood. You got to be able to do some hardscaping. Here's this, and this is much cheaper. And his brain can't commute because all he knows is traditional builds. And so I told him, I said, I'm going to send you some videos. I'm going to connect you with some people, because with all the hardscaping and all the technology, you can build back a fireproof house that will be cheaper than a traditional stick build with certain materials. And I said, I'm gonna connect you with people that are out of state, but they're the ones that, have this. And so he's like, okay. I said, just be open-minded. I said, just like we got to give people grace with their decisions, we got to give one another grace, because you've been doing it a long time in a traditional manner and your brain can't get outside of that. But start looking into it, listen, and get outside of that, so that you're also saying to people, when we first talked a couple weeks ago, he was like 400 to 450 a square foot minimum. When we talked Friday, he was like 600 a square foot. I was like, Joe, stop it. That's
I've heard 1,500 a square foot.
Yeah, there are people that are saying that too. And I'm like, stop it. That's going to terrify people and take away their hope, right? I get the whole thing of reality, and with tariffs and all this stuff. Now we got a 90-day pause. God only knows what's going to happen with that. But there are less expensive methods to build, and that are just as sustainable or even better, right, than timber boxes again. And so he was like, all right, Tony, all right, I'm gonna open my mind a little bit. I'm gonna take my time, do some more research. And I was like, cool, that's all I'm asking. Because if we terrify people saying the traditional way you build is gonna cost you a minimum of $6 to $6 good, they're gonna be like, yeah, I might as well sell. And that's what we don't want. Hold on, don't rush right away, because they're not rushing permits. Take your time. And if it takes a year to get your permit, but you have the right stuff and it's not costing you 2 arms and a leg, maybe just an arm and a half or 2 arms, right? Then we all have to continuously take a breath and breathe. Just take deep breaths and breathe and get to that phase when we get there. So
I'm only giving them a pinky toe. You can shoot off a pinky toe.
Okay, I'll shoot that off. But yeah, so I think the work that all of us are doing is equally important. Like, we have our podcast here, you're doing it on radio and on a different stage, and you're having this town hall next week, which is incredible. And whoever's doing what, to collaborate and come together as a community and make sure that we are able to come back in the next year. James, you heard what I was talking about. I went this morning to the lot because I went to a funeral in Pasadena yesterday, went to the cemetery, and I was like, let me go see what's going on at the house, right, at the lot. And there were excavators on the street, and I was like, wait, hold up. And I asked the guy, I was like, this little one's in front of the house. The big one is right past the driveway. Like, what are these for? Do you know where these are going? He said 10:45, and I was like, what? And I said, when? He said, oh, we're going to start today. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And of course, no cell signal to call my mama like, hey, did you know? And so they did pull up, her and my dad, and they started a little bit yesterday. They did takes a couple hours for them to fully get set up and cordon it off with red tape where you can't go in, the footprint and all of that. But they said, but we'll be back tomorrow morning at 7. I was there at 6:45 this morning before any of them got there. And so I did watch, and I recorded some, and I told them I'll be back. I needed to come home and do some work, but I'll be back this afternoon. But it was very emotional. Like, I was crying because that's the whole house I grew up in. My siblings grew up in, our children, my parents' grandchildren, and they've got 9 grands and 4 great grands or whatever, right? And even the great grands that come. And again, I get so devastated for my parents because that's 57 years, right? And when they couldn't buy places, they were able to get in there. And so for me, it was just a gut punch, because seeing them scrape up with the excavator buckets and put in the dump truck, it's like my whole life is now being put in a dump truck. Their lives are being put in a dump truck. Though we've walked that property tons of times since, I have, right? And we were there yesterday. It hit different this morning. And I know by the time I get back later, it'll be more cleared, and they'll be probably, jackhammering the slab and all that. But for me, it's therapeutic, it's healing, but it just hit differently this morning, being on the lot, seeing that. And I think everybody has to go through this phase to get to that next one where, okay, it's clear. Now we can walk the property with our builders, our architects, whatever, and get to, okay, this is how this is going to go. We submit these plans. County may come back and say you need to change this or that or whatever. But it's It's something. Is all I can
Are,
say.
are
Is
you
like
are you concerned about the remediation process?
I'm not. You mean the 6 inches
Soil, yeah, the
soil?
six
Yeah,
six versus going deeper.
on 12. No, because when I was talking to the people this morning, just like we have seen, things are changing almost daily. uh, they again said, "Oh, some regulations, some rules changed." And I said, "Oh, really?" And they were telling me what they were. And they said, "That's why you're going to see the lots that are being cleared now are looking a little bit different and graded better and everything than the previous lots because they have heard us." Right? The complaints, the community members coming back saying things. And so they're bending their rules some and they're going a little deeper. They're making sure they're graded and like flat, right? Versus, oh, they just got all this stuff off and you see down where it was and that's it. Now they have to like grade them and leave them nice. And so they said that as the community continues to speak about it, they're making changes. And so he was telling me some, but not all of them. And I said, I'll be back this afternoon. You can discuss more with me. But they're literally making some changes. And then the webinar was last night. I did miss it, but I think it was recorded on the soil and the water testing.
Hmm.
Did any of you have a chance to get on that?
That was the counties. I didn't have a chance to get on it, but I'm
Yeah, I was so
I
busy.
didn't, but I'm about to share the page that shows their results.
Okay, yeah. So they did sampling of 400 houses already, and they decided that they were going to do water and soil testing throughout Altadena because at first they weren't. Now, obviously, UCLA, SC, LMU have where they're doing it for free. You just have to sign up. But just like Samaritan's Purse in the beginning, where Samaritan's Purse, you could sign up for the sifting. It was 5 weeks in and they never called us. And I was rolling around with people in Altadena and saw some sifters and shovels and looked like they had been used already. So I took them in the back of my car and we went up there and me and my kids and stuff sifted one Sunday, right? But literally the soil by the public health and the water is being done. People have to be patient because again, Altadena alone's got 6,400 homes, let alone the few in Sierra Madre, the few in Pasadena, and the other structures, buildings, churches, schools, all of that, but the homes itself. So they are starting it with the sampling and doing it. And I think people just need to, as much as possible, exercise the patience. I'm not, telling people, oh, just be patient, because I'm not there. My house didn't burn down. That is my community, but my parents are going through that, right? So we've got to give people peace, but as much as possible, exercise patience because things are being done because they are hearing us. The county is listening. The permit center and the planning, they are listening. It may not be going as quickly as we want, but if we keep complaining and saying to them, this is our community, we don't want you coming in telling us this is how you're going to do it. Even though you might have done this way for many disasters, this is not what we want. They are finally saying, okay, we're going to listen, because Altadena, what they've also found is extremely unique.
Yes.
And the uniqueness, the closeness and all of that, they're like, oh, these people are not playing. We have to listen to them. So we collectively, all of us are helping to change some of the rules around how they're doing things, because we continue to stick together and fight, and say, no, we would like to see this and we don't want it this way. And we're pushing back, just like the trees in the beginning, that they were just chopping trees down. Now it's different, right? And they've got an army going in. So yeah, I think that's what has to. Yeah, it is, Stogie. It really is. And Marcus, you're right. It was a gut punch this morning. It might be again when I go back this afternoon, but I'm gonna keep taking the punches and I'm gonna keep being resilient and going and making sure I get the information for people here and making sure my parents are straight.
Well, I appreciate y'all having me this morning, and like I said, it's every time I haven't listened to all 63 episodes, but every time I do have an opportunity to listen, it just informs me and gives me, resolve to, tell the stories that we're telling them and approach them the way that they are approaching them, because I tell people this is how people are really feeling. Like this isn't anything sensationalized. I was asked last night on TV, where are people? Like, where are they? I'm like, they are where they can be, and they're
Everywhere.
certainly not
All over.
where they want to be, right? Like that's where they at everywhere.
Right.
Some in cars still, some in hotels still. And I had lunch. I went over to Fame Wednesday and had lunch with the seniors just to talk with them, just to hear how they're doing. And one of the things that just kept coming up was the disorientation of not being in the familiar space, and being in a hotel or a Airbnb or a apartment, basically, right? When they had their fruit tree for the last 40 years, and just the nuance of sound and unfamiliar things that happen is mentally taxing on them,
Yep.
right? And not having that sense of safety, right? And comfort, and the creak in they floor when they walk on, and they know Mabel was coming downstairs, right? It's
Mabel.
Whatever that is, that
whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
But that was home.
Yeah.
That was home. Now you got kids jumping on the second floor above your head.
That's
And
my
that
parents.
is
They got people up there, and I'm like, I started saying, why won't my mama sit still, right? My mother doesn't sit still anyway, but because she line dances and everything, but she's constantly out. And I was telling my sister, like, can she just stay home for a minute? And then I had to backtrack my words, and I said, first of all, it's not home. And then they've owned a house for 57 years, and now they're in an apartment paying rent and got people upstairs, across the hall, all this. And I really had to say, Lord, please forgive me for even thinking that way, right? Because they get up, and as soon as daddy can get ready and all that, they're gone. They're out the house for the day doing whatever. And she's been to 540 West Woodbury probably every day. I'm just like, girl, why you keep going over there? Ain't nothing, But if that's what it takes.
What's there for? There's hope for her there. There's hope. That's why she goes there.
It's happened to go up to your house every day. I was doing it for a month, and I don't even live here. There's no house there.
What's going on with your mic, man?
He's garbled, yeah. But that's right, and you're right, James and Brian. And I had to say to myself, and my sister was like, Tony, you're 2 or 3 months ahead of us. You are out there, boots on the ground, making change, finding out the information to give it to people. We are still just processing. This is where we live now. And this, and it's temporary. And so when she said that to me, I was like, oh, dang, she's right. And so I was like, let me pull back and really let that grace kick in, that I'm like, okay, they're not where I am. Because I was like, look, we got to have this builder's town hall. We got to get people in touch with architects and builders so that they know and have hope, right? You can rebuild. But then it's like, people are like, okay, I'm not quite ready. But I think about 150 people showed up that day and left with a lot of hope, right? And connections. And they're working with some of those people. And they didn't know stuff. So now watching us here, the more information we get that's accurate and we can give to people. And I definitely am I don't know if I have to sign up, but I do want to come to the thing next Wednesday, because just like we're sharing, you all are sharing, and we're going to walk away with some knowledge and information that on Thursday we can come back and talk about, right?
It's not a sign up required. It helps us get a head count, because we have refreshments and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Just I don't think anybody's going to be turned away, right? I don't see that happening. But I was sharing with Brian the other day when we talked that one of the things that I'm concerned about, especially coming into this season and next week, we kind of start that spring summer run of holidays and events, right? There's Easter. Yep. There's prom season, there's graduation season, there's Mother's Day, Father's Day, Memorial Day, 4th, whatever, the Juneteenth, the last holiday of the summer, Labor Day. And then we swing into football season, right? Thanksgiving, Christmas, which are important gathering points and for everybody, right? And all that still has to happen. and we haven't even hit a year yet. And
Right.
so it's going to be really important for those of us on the peripheral, right, that have the proximity to those who were most impacted, right, who lost everything, their memories, their childhood things, and just all. It's not things of stuff. It's intangible things that can't be replaced. We're gonna
Yeah.
have to really hold them, right, and care for them. You know,
Yes.
and I may be having a few barbecues or something, you know what I mean, just to try to provide that space for friends and folks to come shoot the, and talk a little and, slap a little, you know what I mean, just do something that seem a
Do
little
what
bit
we do.
normal. I don't play
I
bones
told
no
y'all I
more,
got a
but
nice backyard. Everybody, we could do something here too, and I'm super serious about that. We can all collaborate. I'm in San Dimas, a little bit further out, but I don't care. My house is open. We could have big barbecue, whatever here, and do it for not only seniors but just Altadenians, right? To get together and have that sense of community and be able to touch, maybe cry, whatever. I don't even care. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate y'all. I got a hard out that I'm over. About
Not
10
so
minutes.
hard out.
Well, we've been on for an hour. I gave you 20 minutes. I said you got 20 minutes.
You know what? But church was happening, right?
I was gonna say, you got on here and y'all know I talk, and so we started talking. So that's
it
what
preached. It
Well,
preached. It
actually worked out for you on the Instagram out the Talks because it just stopped because the hour has gone by.
Gone up. Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, don't stop on my behalf, but I got to jump on another one at 11.
Well,
at
while we were
11:30.
talking, I just RSVP'd us to come to the thing on Wednesday.
Oh man, I'm looking forward to seeing y'all. We don't have all the answers. We learning,
Nobody does.
but we're gonna keep showing up. I'm gonna keep showing up.
And we're gonna do it together, right? That's the key.
Exactly.
That's what it is. So I appreciate y'all. I will see y'all on Wednesday. I'm see some of y'all in the streets sooner. But thank y'all for the work y'all doing, man. I appreciate it.
And thank you for the work you're doing as well. We appreciate you for sure.
Absolutely.
Hopefully you come back on again soon.
Oh, any, even if I have to force my way on here like I did today, don't worry, I'm coming.
Basically, I was trying to get him in before his thing. He's like, I can't do Monday, Tuesday. I'm doing this. Wednesday's the day of. I said, well, I'll challenge you to come on tomorrow.
Okay.
Hey, have a great day and weekend, James.
God bless y'all. Thank you.
All right, you too,
have a good one.
Take care. Bye-bye.
That was cool.
I know you're going to do some announcements. I also have a call with Department of Angels at 11:30. I'm going to have to be on. So if I can just find this one. Hold on. I think I told you a little bit earlier. Okay, so Melissa Morona, who came on Tuesday, Altadena Town Council, who was on Tony Talks, she sent me a follow-up email. This was April 9th. And she did send the flyer for that town hall that was last night, and I told her I already had that. But another very important thing that she noted was I specifically said about the 540 West Woodbury closing or whatever, and how people feel like, what will they do? And seniors are like, where do we go for answers? So she said the Assistance League, not Justice League, excuse me. The Assistance League is going to have a place set up soon to assist seniors and those without computers to sign up for various post-fire recovery efforts and have computers and helpers on site. So she said, we'll send info once they open very soon. So I don't have, but people are listening, right? Again, we're getting it out there, what we're hearing, talking to the right people, and people are listening. So the Assistance League is going to be setting that up soon. And it will be long-term, so it won't be like, okay, we're done. Toodles Altadena, right? And then people don't have access or the assistance or any of that, because they are hearing about those without computers and seniors and others that really, really, really need the help. So as soon as I get more information from town council or anybody on that, I will come back and, we'll share that then. So Jamal?
Rightio.
Yeah,
It
that's
is
very,
now
very cool.
unique.
So does that mean that that's the only resource that's going to be available for people after the 15th? Is
I
the
don't
Assistance League?
know. I don't know, but the Assistance League for sure has heard and is going to do that. Don't know what's going to happen. She's still checking into 540 West Woodbury and whether they
Yeah.
extend it again or just is over on the 15th. But as soon as I hear more info for certain, we'll talk about it here.
Yeah, because I get the alerts directly from the county, and they keep listing that as a recovery center along with the ones in Palisades, and there's no
Right.
indication that it's going to close anytime soon
I hope
on
not.
on those, on their list. So hopefully it doesn't.
Yeah. I hope not as well.
Gee. All right. Well, I'll jump into the announcements. Here we go.
Jumping.
Jumping.
Right. That's what I was
Jump
like.
on it. Jump on it.
It ain't we out here. He's on something else.
Always,
Well,
gotta
as
keep it
usual-
steamy. I keep it steamy.
The deadline is the 15th of April. That's next Tuesday for you to do your right of entry. As they have on many other publications about this, even if you're going to opt out, go ahead and fill it out. You can change your mind, but they really need something from you right away. Okay. So the 15th is the deadline. As we were just discussing, the disaster recovery centers currently are still open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 7. That's 540 West Woodbury Road in Altadena. As we find the information, we'll let you know what's happening after the 15th regarding the recovery center. And as Tony...
I just pulled up that it does say new hours effective April 14th. So as of Monday,
Pulled it where?
will be LA County, recovery.lacounty.gov.
Okay.
The centers, it still lists them, but it would be the UCLA Research Park West and Altadena. And the hours are changing 9 to 6 Monday through Friday and 9 to 4 on Saturdays.
Starting when?
April 14th. I'm going to just put this in the chat real quick on the back end, and then you can pull it up as you need to. So I'm glad you were on that about the hours because I just pulled that up. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. So Monday, I'll have the new hours because that's when it will be effective. So we'll definitely put that up. And the One Stop Permit Center, still there, 641 West Woodbury Road, Suite 210. Monday through Friday, 9:30 to 6, and Saturdays 8 to 1. This is for walk-in. If you want an appointment, those are only open from Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 9:30 to 12:30, and also Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. And you have to go to the website to actually register for that. That's recovery.lacounty.gov/rebuilding/1-stop-permit-centers. The town hall was yesterday. The Altadena community meeting, the next one is going to be Monday, the 14th from 4 to 5. You can submit your questions by scanning the QR code. I apologize for the blurriness of this flyer. It's directly from their from the county, so I don't know why it's so blurry. So if you can't read it, sorry about that. Just scan the QR code. And you can actually go to the YouTube page to watch it. That's youtube.com/@County of Los Angeles Newsroom. And we have the World Central Kitchen having those different locations for hot meals, portable water stations, and farmers markets. We have Sierra Madre YMCA at 611 East Sierra Madre Boulevard in Sierra Madre. Gordy's Garage Parking Lot at 843 West Woodbury Road in Altadena. Those two spots are open Monday through Sunday, 11 a.m. to 3, and then again from 4 to 8. And then there's Iglesia del Nazareno, Mondays through Saturdays, 4 to 7, and that's at 3541 Brandon Street in Pasadena. We have the Dena Relief Drive, Pasadena Church at 425 Sierra Madre Villa Avenue every Saturday until they tell us they're going to stop from 11 to 4. And if you want to volunteer, please scan the QR code. The folks at Pacific Oaks College have a distribution on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 4 to 7 p.m. This is at 45 West Eureka Street in Pasadena. They have several different items, such as new women's clothing, air purifiers, face masks, and baby formula. Every Wednesday at Fame First AME Church at 1700 North Raymond Avenue in Pasadena, there's a senior luncheon where surviving seniors in the community will have a space to unwind and fellowship with lunch, games, fellowship, and much more. This is from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. Every Wednesday until they tell us they're going to stop. And if you want to RSVP, you can send an email to msz_strong@yahoo.com, or you can call 626-673-2200. We have the last installation of the Jazzy Jam Glam Prom Dress Suit giveaway. It's going to be this Saturday and Sunday, so April 12th and 13th at 300 East Colorado Boulevard, Suites 139 and 140. That's going to be at 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And to register, you have to scan the QR code. There's going to be an Easter egg hunt, family fun day. This is going to be with food, music, games, gifts, and much more. It's going to be Saturday, April 19th, next Saturday, from 12 to 3 at 175 North Euclid Avenue in Pasadena. Let's see. So we have the Ready Sweat Go Give Back. It's the Eaton Canyon Fire Community Give Back event where it's featuring Jackie James as the instructor, where you get to learn some Pilates and create community. This is every Saturday in April. So the next one is tomorrow at 1 p.m. at 945 West Foothill Boulevard in Monrovia. And you would go to ReadySweatGoStudio.com to register. We do have on April 26th, as we had mentioned a little earlier in the week, and we'll continue to have more information about this coming soon. From 11 to 9 is the Ashes to Anthems benefit concert and resource fair, where we rebuild, restore, and revive and hold Dina. It's going to be at Memorial Park in Pasadena. And again, we'll have more information coming soon. And then also on that day, LAX City Boys Gives Back presents the Dina Give Back. This is going to be an event dedicated to support those affected by the Eaton fires. It's going to be Saturday, April 26th from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. They're going to actually provide and distribute new shoes, new athletic wear, Stanley Cups, food, water cases, gift cards, and such. This will be at Holy Assembly Church of God in Christ at 55 East Villa Street in Pasadena. I believe that would be it for, let me see, one more. Yep, one more. This is also going to be on the 26th. The Brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, Eta Pi Lambda chapter present Dina First Aid Day. It's going to be at Jackie Robinson Park Rec Center at 1081 North Fair Oaks Avenue in Pasadena. It's going to be from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. and it's going to be in partnership with the council members Justin Jones and Tyrone Hampton. So they're going to have a nice little event there. So that's it for today for our slides. So I'll bring it back to removed us. You're muted. You're muted.
Somebody
There
else muted me because I didn't mute myself.
Well, now you're not.
So that means you did it.
I did not.
No, you did mute back, Brian, after you were garbled again and somebody said something.
No, I was talking after that. I switched mics.
Oh, okay.
So somebody muted me so that you can't get
Maybe
my
I
ad
did.
libs. Yeah, y'all don't like my ad libs.
Yeah, I think right after the ad lib, I muted you and myself. So my bad.
Y'all don't like it. Now, when I start next week, when I start not saying anything, and I just go, okay, thank you.
That's not gonna happen. So why you even acting like that?
How you know?
Because we know you.
I'm gonna pretend like I'm on mute. I'm just going like that.
No, and I'm gonna be like, Brian, you're not on mute. Quit being like that.
I wasn't on mute right there. I was just doing that.
We know. All right. Well,
I do that to people when I'm talking to them right there in their face. I'll be like, they're like, hey man, you're not saying nothing. Oh, I was on mute in my mind. I was mind muted.
Oh my
gosh. We got some exciting stuff coming up. We ain't discussing it with y'all yet, but when we lock it down and you see certain things happening, you're gonna be like, people really are trying to make Altadena Talks look like they professionals. Well, I just want to let y'all know we are professionals. We just pretend like we're not. So
y'all might be professional.
Absolutely not.
Well, it's Friday and
thank
it's
you for
over.
bringing James back on, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, my whole thing is bring people on who got the knowledge, who that we don't even see, and sometimes he may have something and we can add to it. You know what I'm saying? Like we did today.
Yeah.
So
I can't wait to go to the event next week.
Yeah, I here's the messed up part. I got tickets to go to D.L. Hughley. Sherry's taking me to D.L. Hughley, but that don't start till 7. I'm definitely going there first.
That's
I'm probably leaving
house.
about
That's
5.
all the time. That's every Wednesday or something.
Oh, well, you know what? Then I can just go there until 6 and then go down there. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, that D.L. Hughley and Friends. I've been a couple times this year, and that's every Wednesday or something. And so that's
I think it is.
Yeah.
The day before, we're going to the Dodger game, which is also the last day of FEMA, unless you guys just announced that they're going to have some extended stuff. This week is chock full of preparation for the next weekend when we are ready, set, go on the whole Dina Festival.
But there's a lot tomorrow. There's still the Loma Alta Park thing is tomorrow. I know down at FAME, at First AME, is that senior summit that Lena Kennedy and others
So I didn't do both of those because you couldn't register. Like the Bitly link for Loma Alta Park, it doesn't even work anymore. And then for the registration for the other event, the ending summit? Of registration was the 2nd.
Okay. Well, I know that we will be in attendance at some of those things for certain. So that's what I was talking about. There's a lot going on this week. Is this the 3rd or the last weekend of Jazzy Jam's?
It's the last weekend.
Last weekend. So that's important. I'm sure I'll stop by there. So yeah, we'll be out in the community again Saturday and possibly Sunday as well. And we'll do our recap show on Monday with some of these events.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm probably going to end up attending that Action Altadena Rebuild Fair down at Brookside Park just to see what it's all about.
Is that tomorrow?
That's tomorrow as well.
We definitely didn't have enough info on that one to post.
Yeah, I mean, I got an email later on, and I didn't get a chance to really shoot it, but just know that we'll recap it on Monday. And I'll be speaking to a few people because now that I got my car back in action, ain't nothing stopping me from showing up to your event because I show up.
No stopping you now.
I'm cutting the line. Cutting the VIP line. Ain't no stopping this now.
You're on the move.
Oh, hey, Lord.
Hey.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
So I'll probably run into you this weekend, B, or something. I'm sure we'll talk and be like, where you at? Okay, I'm over here.
And Jamal said he was going to do a little event at his house since, he's been seeing all hard efforts at work. Yep. He said he was going to put some tri-tip in the smoker.
When did he say that?
I thought he was trying to do something at his house on Sunday,
Wow.
When is Easter?
On next week Sunday, the 20th.
Oh, the 20th.
Yeah, next week Sunday. All right, well, I got to call in about 1 minute. So toodles, y'all.
All right, have a great day.
See Altadena Talks Land on Monday with a recap show. Brian and Jamal, maybe see y'all this weekend. We'll see, but enjoy.
Yep.
Oh, Greenwood got the shirt on.
Oh,
Greenwood Project.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put our outro on. Cause anybody else got something to say?
Outro it is.
Anyone? Bueller.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Toodles.
Peace out.